Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel. The theme of this video is advice that I would have given myself 15 years ago with regards to language learning. So recently I turned 30, woohoo, a big milestone in some people's eyes, but if you haven't achieved much like myself, not so much. And 15 years ago, why that particular number? It doesn't really matter, but I specifically remember having a sort of language and polyglot awakening about 15 years ago. I had just discovered Live Mocha or Live Mocha, and that was the first sort of online class or like language learning thing that had ever discovered. And so I kind of just like went wild with it. I tried all these different courses. I think I even spent more time on that than doing my actual study, for high school and for my future. But that's cool. At the same time, I was also starting to get really good at my Bahasa Indonesia, which I was studying in high school. And at the same time, through a tutor for Bahasa Indonesia, I had also discovered a local foreign language bookshop. And about 15 years ago, bookshops was still a thing back in Melbourne anyway. And I went there, and it was like essentially, to use the phrase, like being in a candy shop. There was just so much choice, so many resources for everything. It was like a young language lover's dream. I went back recently, a few years back, and it has unfortunately moved from the main city district to a smaller area, and it's unfortunately in a sadder situation, but it still exists. So here is some advice for myself, my younger self, because I feel like had I maybe taken heed of some of this advice, where I would be now as a language learner would be a very different place, I believe. Maybe not, but I would maybe have had a better control, a better grasp or fluency of the languages that I do know right now. And who knows, I might even have learnt other languages as well. So my first piece of advice is yes, marvel at all the different languages you can study, but also try to focus on something. So I remember when I first found Live Mocha, I was really, really into German, and I think I did okay. Like, I might actually have gotten to an A1 level. I can't remember, but I could definitely put together some sentences, and I did all the exercises and stuff. And so I was really, really passionate with that. But unfortunately, due to a mix of me just being a teenager, mismanaging my time, having to prioritize what was more important, like exams, what you think is more important. Um, I think after a few months, I kind of just gave up on it. And the next time I came back to studying, I tried something else. So that's fine. Like, we all know it's fine to dabble and have fun. But, coming from a point of view of like to develop long-term language fluency, I would have advised myself to pick something. Could have been German, could have been Swedish. I was generally interested in the Germanic languages at that time. And just stick with it for a year. And even though you can't see the progress straight away, when you're 30, like me, you will see the value in all the hard effort and work that you did in the past. Secondly, I would also give myself some advice to study languages and culture at university. So, is studying a language at university the most efficient usage of your time and money? No, probably not. However, the first 3 to 4 years of my university life they were very unfulfilling and full of me not being motivated to do anything because I was chasing this goal of some degree that I thought would be better for my career. And I wasn't really focusing on my passions. So I believe now that you at least need both, and maybe even just focus on passion. Having something that you're both skilled in and passionate about is a really good step for finding employment and success or milestones that you like. I think for the longest time, I pushed that aside in favor of what I thought was more viable. And when I went to university a second time and I did a major in Arabic, that was just the best feeling for me. I was like, it was just the best feeling for me. So I would recommend my younger self to just get on that ship faster than he did. Lastly, I would also recommend myself to aim for more international programs and exposure. Um, when I was doing my Arabic major, my Arabic diploma, I uh, joined a 2 month cultural language immersion trip to Oman, and that was one of the best things that I did. So fun and so good for my language. So I would recommend my younger self to, from day one, from semester one, start looking for those things because the structures have always been there. There's always been, I can't remember any of them. There's always been like things like the Colombo Plan or initiative. I can't remember exactly, but there's always been plans, initiatives, scholarships, programs that send students overseas to develop cultural, even linguistic, awareness and intelligence, to turn them both into a better student and maybe to benefit the facility, the faculty as well. So those things have always existed, but I would advise my younger self to look for them faster and try to develop a plan to take your university units in those countries and sort of have your university funding that you already like have your try to get your scholarships or the the university funding to pay for your language passion as well. It's possible. And one more piece of advice for myself would be to not judge your level too favorably, I guess, which may sound harsh, but I feel like both for my Bahasa Indonesia as well as my Arabic, I may have judged myself to be a whole lot better than I thought I was because I was able to present in my language and I was able to discuss at length basic subjects. In reality, I might have just been a high A2 or a high beginner level, and it's hard to know how deep the ocean goes when you've only dipped your toe in the shore kind of thing. So I feel like for both of those languages, I was at a stage where yes, I could take a break for anywhere from 6 months to a year, and my level in that language may not have deteriorated so fast because of all the time and effort that I had already put into it. But I may also have been 3 months, 6 months, or even a year away from reaching an even higher level of fluency had I pushed further. But I didn't know what was behind the veil at that time. So this is just a little discussion, trying to get something off my chest, I guess, as well as making maybe an interesting video topic. But what is interesting for this sort of discussion and this sort of hindsight, talking about hindsight and things like that, is that the advice still applies to myself now. So yes, this advice is for my younger self 15 years ago, but it could equally be as applicable to me at the age of 30 right now today, because I don't want to be in the same situation when I'm 40 and making another video on some other online video sharing platform saying, oh, here's the advice that I would have given myself when I was 30. So at least uh, with the exposure and understanding that I have of languages now, I could hopefully position myself to be somewhere better in the future. Because that's, when it comes to language development, that's the only direction I can look at, really. I can't really look back and do much about that. So maybe this has been me rambling, or maybe there's been some benefit to it. Let me know. I'll speak to you in the comments, and see you next time.